Everything I write in the story is true. Yes, that is a cliché, but that doesn't change the fact that my tale is completely true. The legend of Mercy Brown is well known in Rhode Island, USA. She was suspected of being a vampire, so, amongst other things, the ground around her grave in Exeter was scorched, and for decades, nothing will grow. To this day, it is easy to tell which grave is hers, as a giant brown circle devoid of any vegetation encompasses her gravesite. Years ago, I had a girlfriend who lived in Exeter. It is a rural community in the central part of the state. Neighborhoods lack streetlights and are surrounded by a thick, dark and dense sea of trees. It's very easy to get lost, and even if one has his bearings, it's still very creepy. One night, my ex-girlfriend and I drove through the thick forest to visit Mercy Brown's grave. Both her and I are atheists, and just went to the cemetery for some spooky fun. It was early October, and there was a sharp chill in the air. We walked towards her grave, which was easily discerned even in the blackness of the remote graveyard. True to my rebel nature, I began to dance above and on Mercy Brown's grave. My ex told me to stop it, but I continued to make a fool of myself, spitting in the face of conventional tradition. We then left the cemetery and went back to her house. The next night, I was back at my place. I happened to be living at a hotel near my university. I only needed a place for a semester, and the rate was surprisingly low. That night, I slept deeply, only to awake in the morning with a multitude of what appeared to be bite marks on my legs. I brushed it off as being the work of the ever-present mosquitoes around New England. However, upon further reflection, I realized that several frosts had already occurred, killing off many of the mosquitoes and driving the survivors to seek refuge in the plethora of damp, fallen leaves that abound throughout the region. Next, I thought the bites might have been from fleas, but I didn't have any pets, nor did I interact with any animals whatsoever. But regardless, I still bug-bombed my hotel room, but the bites didn't cease. Bedbugs, that must have been it. Or so I thought. I asked the hotel to inspect my room for an infestation. When they came back and told me that they didn't find anything, I didn't believe them. The bites were still scarring my legs. After all, I had agreed to stay at the hotel for several months, and finding an insect infestation could be a way for me to get out of the contract, not to mention the PR disaster that would await them if a case of bedbugs was to be found in the hotel. So I had a hard time believing that my complaints were unwarranted. Understandably pissed, the manager herself went into my room and tossed my mattress and headboard, showing me that there was no sign of insects anywhere in my room. Convinced but unsatisfied, I threw away my shoes and socks in hopes that that would get rid of my phantom aggressors. The bites didn't itch, which is normally a telltale sign of an insect bite. Then, after about a month of waking up with new red piercings in my flesh, the bites stopped. Just as randomly as they began, they stopped. I still can't explain the bites on my legs. I'm naturally skeptic of the supernatural, but Mercy Brown and her vampirism very well could have been behind my markings. To this day, I will not step foot in Mercy Brown's graveyard, and I will never dance on her grave again. Again, every word of the story is true.